Hi, greetings. It's me, Dr. Paul Gerhardt, and I want to take a few minutes to describe our expectations for the Module 2 Cultural Intelligence Assessment Analysis and Summary paper that's due on Sunday of week 2. This is a paper that is asking you to explore your personal results from your CQ assessment. And you have to do it in a scholarly way, and I wanted to give you an example and also help you understand APA writing. I see a lot of students lose valuable points because they're not writing at doctoral level writing. And as you know, in your dissertation, you're not going to be passed unless you have an APA, properly APA formatted papers. So hopefully all your professors are coaching you on APA standards, and I wanted to help you understand how I would approach this paper and what's expected. So you'll see here in the instructions that it's asking for students to analyze and summarize their personal CQ with a description of the comparative ratings for each of the 4 CQ capabilities: drive, knowledge, strategy, and action. A section that connects current CQ literature with their assessment findings and discussion of a situation that is better informed through the results of this assessment and research below. The summary will include, and so I want to repeat, these will be your level 1 headings. Level 1 headings are bold and centered with major words capitalized. So, an introduction, a description of the results of the 4 capabilities, a section that articulates the connections between the assessment, research, and specific professional and personal situation, and conclusion. So as you write your paper, I would just automatically create level 1 headings that had these 5 sections in it. And again, we don't call introduction in a paper. It's already assumed that the first paragraph is the introduction, so don't call it introduction. You'll see that in my other APA papers, and it's directly from APA for student 7th edition papers. The Cultural Intelligence Assessment Analysis Summary should be 4 to 6 pages, double-spaced, 12 point Times New Roman font. APA writing conventions should be followed with a minimum of 4 peer-reviewed scholarly resources. Again, there's some confusion on what a peer-reviewed scholarly source is. Some people think that the Harvard Business Review is a peer-reviewed source. Well, it's not. It's from an academic institution, but that doesn't make it scholarly peer-reviewed. A peer-reviewed scholarly source is reviewed by other experts in that area who agree. So you could find a peer-reviewed source by clicking the scholarly peer-reviewed sources in your database that you're searching through to support your paper with. Now, some people include, like, well, they say I've had my 4 sources, and they'll include Forbes. Well, Forbes is not a scholarly source, and it's certainly not peer-reviewed. So that's people's opinions, which is valuable in some contexts, but generally not in an academic situation. This is a doctoral level class that's designed to help you understand what the experts are saying, and so that's your goal. So as you look at this note, it says, as portions of this paper pertain to personal reflection, the student has the option of writing in first person using pronouns I, we, us, them, etc., or third person, but do not switch back and forth. You'll notice that in the rubric, 30% of your paper, or 75 points, is a reflection and capabilities. 50 points, or 20% of your paper, is integration of scholarly research. 50 points or 20% is on connections between assessment, research, and the specific situation. 20% or 50 points is on writing and organization. And then references and APA is 25 or 10%. So after you write a paper, it's a good idea to go back and read your paper out loud and ask yourself, did I introduce? And so an introduction describes the purpose of the paper in 1 or 2 paragraphs, and it briefly introduces and states the issue that's being examined. And you write it in present tense, and you include your thesis statement. So again, your introduction, where I'm going to show you in my sample paper, but APA is looking for it to introduce the topic in 1 to 2 paragraphs and briefly introduce and state the issue that's being examined, then including the thesis statement. So let's take a look at the paper from start to finish. This is page 1 of this student's paper. I've removed the name, but when you save your paper, save it with your last and first name and then what the title is. And so you'll notice I put sample, but instead of sample, write Jones, John, Module 2. You know, that way when your professor saves the paper on his or her hard drive, it keeps the paper organized. So use your last name and then the title of the paper. So you'll notice in the top right-hand corner there is a page number. The heading is 3/4 of the way down. The title of the paper is in bold, so it's 3/4 of the way down, and then your name would be here, so John Smith, School of Education and Leadership, City University of Seattle, the course name, your professor's name, and the date that it's submitted. So this should have been January 2024, so in that format. So that's the cover page, 3/4 of the way down. No running head. This is 7th edition, so that's one of the differences between 6th editions and 7th edition, is it doesn't have a running head. The title is capitalized and bold, just like a level 1 heading, but it's 3/4 down the page, and then you notice it's triple spaced here and then double spaced the rest of the way. So your abstract, you'll notice this is a level 1 heading, and it is the only paragraph that is not indented. So you write this in present tense, and APA says that an abstract is a brief comprehensive summary of the contents of the article. An APA abstract summarizes, usually in 1 or 2 paragraphs, between 150 to 250 words, the major aspects of a research paper or dissertation as prescribed sequence. That includes 1 to 2 sentences, the key aspects of the literature review, a problem under investigation or research questions, clearly stated hypothesis, methods used, including brief description of the study design, sample or sample size, study results, implications, why the study is important, applications of results or findings. The abstract should stand alone and be self-contained and make sense to the reader in isolation from a main article. The purpose of the abstract is to give the reader a quick overview of the essential information before reading the article. So she did that basically, and she's got keywords. So the abstract helps people who are searching through the literature find specific topics, what they're looking for, and that's how the abstract makes that easier. So you notice the abstract is on a page of its own. It is not indented and has a level 1 heading, which is bold and starts with a capital letter, and it's centered. Also level 1 heading, center. Notice there's no extra spacing between the heading and the paragraph. It is assumed that the first paragraphs are your introduction. The purpose of the introduction is the same in any research paper. In 1 to 2 paragraphs, briefly introduce and state the issue to be examined. Include the thesis statement. So you notice how the author of this paper used an in-text citation. So she's paraphrased what the paper is about, and then she's supporting it. So notice the period is at the end of the in-text citation, not before it. Solomon, and she uses an ampersand correctly to connect the two authors, comma, space, date, and then period. So that's an example of an in-text citation supporting the ideas of the author, and she found a research article that did that. Likewise, she uses the same type of in-text citation here with 3 authors, and that last author is got an ampersand before that, the name, and then the date. And you'll notice she has gone back and is also citing another research article, but the way that she does it is she includes the names of the authors according to Anderson and Berdolt, 2017. So you mention the authors, and you're using an and, not an ampersand in this format, with the date that's in parentheses and then a period. So generally speaking, you are introducing the idea in the first sentence, you're supporting the ideas in a paragraph with the second and third and fourth, and then finally you're concluding and summarizing key ideas in each paragraph, and then you write it in present tense. This paper is about, this paper summarizes this. Level 1. Description of the results. So the results of the 4 capabilities, it should be, are discussed, incorporating subdimensions of each capability. Each CQ capability has this, and again, write it in present tense. I incorporate them in a relation to my professional experience. So remember, one of the things that you're supposed to be using is you're using a specific situation in this week 2 paper as you describe your CQ results. So this is a level 2 heading. It's left justified, and it's related to the level 1 heading above it. So this is a subordinate heading. So level 2 is subordinate to level 1, and you notice that this is a description. This is level 1, capitalized words, major words, except for of, the, and. If they're started with a, that first a would be capitalized. But other than that, a, of, and the, and are not capitalized. But major words are description, results, 4 capabilities. The level 2 heading is subordinate, so she talks about CQ drive capability. In the CQ drive capability, I've scored high. She mentions what her scores are, and then she expounds on the significance of that. According to Livermore, developing an internal drive, blah, blah, blah. So, and she relates it to her experience in her company. As a co-founder of a technological company, I have an extrinsic drive, blah, blah, blah. So, here's a level 3 heading. This level 3 heading is also left justified. It is also bold. Major words are capitalized, but it's in italics. So this is related to this level 2 heading. And she supports it with an in-text citation. So when you're doing scholarly writing, we paraphrase what the literature says in our own words. The only time we use direct quotes in scholarly papers is when the author is famous, or when changing the words changes the meaning or feeling. So paraphrase. Read the article, close the article, and then summarize in your own word what the key ideas from that were, and then use in-text citations. So you notice that she mentions the author, then the date, And then she does it again here. So you notice there's a couple different ways that she is used. So there's some good writing, and she's expounding on things and summarizing key ideas in her paragraphs. So here's a level 2 heading that is subordinate to the level 1 heading up here. This is CQ knowledge capability, and she expounds on it. And then she expounds on that level 2 idea with using it in her company with a level 3 heading, and she talks about it, and then she supports her ideas really well. So think about making a sandwich. Introduce the ideas, support the ideas, give examples, and then summarize. And that's generally how you build good scholarly paragraphs. You can't have a level 3 heading without having a related level 2 heading above it. So at the very end, your conclusion should summarize key ideas from the paper. So remember, the introduction is telling us what you're going to tell us. Then the body of the paper is giving us all the information. And then the conclusion kind of summarizes key ideas from the paper. So restate your topic and why it is important. Restate your thesis and claim. Address opposing viewpoints and explain why readers should align with your position. And then call for action or overview of future possibilities. So then, on a page of its own is the references with a level 1 heading. It's centered and it's bold. You've got the author, last name, comma, middle initial, ampersand connecting the author, and the date. Notice there's a space after the period. So notice that the publication title, in this case it's a journal, International Journal of Human Resource Management, is in italics. The name of the article is not. So we don't use authors' first names or middle names. We use their last name and then their initial. This one only has a first initial. Sometimes there are first and middle initials. So again, book titles in italics. Article titles, only the first word is capitalized, or after the colon it's capitalized. And then the name of the publication is in italics and has all the major words capitalized: international capitalized, journal capitalized, human capitalized, resource capitalized, and management. And then you have the page numbers here and the publication issue here. So anyway, that in a nutshell is APA formatting and what's expected in this level 2 paper. So I hope you found this article helpful, and I hope that you have a great day, because only you get to choose how you feel about it.